After an extremely intense public exchange about Christian tourist visas to Israel, we finally have an answer. Well, U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee put out a statement about the issue, and in it, he gave a lot of credit to one man, attorney Calev Myers. And Calev joins us now. So, Calev, what was this issue and how was it resolved?
So that's a great question. There's a few complicating factors here. Number one, Israel, like all Western democracies, has a professional bureaucracy, right? Some people call them the deep state, but these are career bureaucrats who are kind of entrenched in the system, and sometimes they create inefficiencies. Another complicating factor is that the vast majority of Israelis aren't aware of the fact, like you and I, that the vast majority of Zionists in the world are not Jewish, right? I mean, depending on who you ask, there's 400 million to 600 million evangelical Christians around the world who love Israel, pray for Israel, support Israel, love coming and visiting as tourists, have organizations here that are doing great, humanitarian welfare work, and so on and so forth. Many Israelis, when they think about Christianity, they think about the Crusades and the Inquisitions and the KKK and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, right? And so that's their perception of, those are the guys that are out to get us, and that can infiltrate also into the mindset of the professional clerks in these government ministries. On top of that is another complicating factor, and that is that within the last year or two, there are clerks within the Religious Communities Department of the Ministry of Interior that were granting visas to illegal Palestinian workers underneath Catholic and Greek Orthodox Church visas. And so this was uncovered, and it created a mistrust in the Ministry of Interior within the visa department and the Religious Services Department, which is supposed to give its recommendation for clergy visas. Okay, so the thought was, okay, now you have Christian organizations in Israel that are applying for visas to people who aren't actually clergy. They're coming in the pretense of clergy, and then they're going and working in construction and other jobs like that. For that reason, the Visa Department, the Ministry of Interior, started investigating all of the Christian organizations to see if they're actually religious institutions and if they're actually clergy that are applying for these visas. That was applied to the evangelical organizations as well, even though they weren't involved at all in the fiasco with the Palestinian workers. And it created a backlog. And it was also kind of ridiculous because now you have clerks in the Ministry of Interior that are investigating, the Southern Baptist Convention to see whether or not it's a religious institution, even though it's existed for, 150 years, long before the state of Israel was created, and so on and so forth. So basically, when Huckabee landed shortly after Huckabee landed in Israel, I was at a dinner party with him and his wife at Joe Rosenberg's house. And I brought up the issue and said, hey, this is a challenge we have right now with the evangelical organizations here active. And he said, I'm going to do something about this. Let's you and I go and meet with the Minister of Interior and make sure that this problem is taken care of. So we met with the Minister of Interior. He said, we're going to take care of this. We appreciate evangelicals. We appreciate the relationship with the United States. We want to make things as easy for them as possible. We understand they're Israel's best friends, so on and so forth. But that, and then that I started communicating with his department, with people in the Ministry of Interior. And after a month or two, it was like there wasn't a real change. The visas were still not being granted. The message wasn't getting down to these professional clerks that are embedded in the Ministry of Interior. And Huckabee finally said, enough is enough. They should have solved this problem a long time ago. And he sent this letter, very strong letter, which, obviously got a lot of media coverage and everything else. Now, I want to say also that Huckabee was very surprised that letter was leaked to the media. It was supposed to be a private letter between him and the Minister of Interior. He wasn't planning on embarrassing Israel diplomatically, but unfortunately it was leaked to the media, and the rest is history. Let me say, immediately after it was leaked to the media, that both the Prime Minister's office, the Minister of Interior, Ambassador Huckabee, and myself worked together in a very intense manner to come up with a solution as quickly as possible, and we did. And so now, kind of, the doors are open. The Christian evangelical organizations are going to be able to get their visas without any bureaucratic holdups and these kind of investigations, and based on the trust, and the wonderful work they've done throughout the years, and so on and so forth. So that's the good news.
Well, Calev, let me ask you this. That statement that you were talking about, again, like you said, made huge rounds. It was, an evangelical leader, Mike Huckabee, with some extraordinarily strong language. Then you add on top of that the reports about this Christian Palestinian town called Taibe that was, there's conflicting reports. Then you have this Catholic church in Gaza. From an outsider's perspective, I've never seen more consternation, criticism from the, wouldn't call it the right-wing conservative American thing, where you've named names, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, where it's kind of splintered a lot of people in the past couple of weeks. And obviously there's no one who knows this better than you, because you are a Messianic believer who lives in Israel. Let me ask you this in closing, and you can kind of take this however you want. What is the reality of Christians in Israel?
Yeah, so let me say that this last week was a very difficult week in Israel Christian relations. Okay, because you had the visa fiasco, which we just mentioned, the alleged burning of a church in Taibe, which is this Christian Arab area on the Green Line, and then you had the alleged bombing of a church in Gaza, all within 2 or 3 days, and it was like, oh my God, what's happening? So those three things basically ended up, becoming from a mountain to a molehill in a matter of days. So like the visa situation was taken care of very quickly. Again, we do have an entrenched bureaucracy like many countries, but there's also recourse to take care of it. And we did. And they have people that they're accountable to that can, fix the situation. And that happened. The burning of the church in Taipei turned out to be completely fallacious. Like, I don't know if you saw the pictures that come out, but there's a little bit like a grass that was burnt next to the church. It didn't even touch the building, and the building is made of stone anyway. There's no way you can really burn it. And so no church was burned in Taipei, period. Regarding the bombing of the church in Gaza, that is under investigation right now by the IDF, because they're not aware of military engagements that they were carrying out in that area at the time. So they're trying to figure out exactly what happened. Obviously, they wouldn't intentionally bomb a church in Gaza. They've actually created a safe zone for the Gazan Christians around that church area, so that they can be safe and not be caught in the crossfire and so on and so forth. So they would have no incentive to attack a church. So that we're trying to still figure out what happened. Regarding Christianity in Israel in general, Israel is the only country in the Middle East that I'm aware of which our Christian population has steadily grown over the last few decades, whereas there's a negative emigration of Christians from every other Arab Muslim state in the Middle East, including the Palestinian Authority, right? So why is that? Because we do have true freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, and freedom of expression. There are hundreds of Christian churches in Israel that meet every Sunday, that worship in freedom. We have a Christian Arab judge on the Supreme Court. We have Christians in our Knesset, in our parliament. And so, yes, we're Western democracy with challenges, with a deep state sometimes, with issues that need to be taken care of. But by and large, we're a bastion of civil rights and especially religious rights in the Middle East. And I think that needs to be said and understood by all of our Christian friends worldwide.
Calev Myers, thank you for your time, my friend.
It's great to be with you again, Raj. I appreciate it.